Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 Sorry, had to tweet that the live is live. Yeah, that's how words work. So apologies if the sound quality on my end is not fantastic. I am having to use my headset mic because for some freaking reason it's not really my good mic, my medium quality mic, because my good mic is over there with my shooting setup, and I don't move it back and forth. So I have one that is better than like the onboard stuff on a headset or that's built into the webcam, but is, not as good as that one. And my computer has decided that doesn't work anymore. Don't know why. And I didn't have the time or the patience to restart freaking everything. So, heck with it. Cheers. Remember to hydrate. Tonight's water is Berry Snap, Mixed Berry and Ginger by Woodchuck. Congrats on the 75. Very cool. You reached a milestone. Thank you. I was not expecting to hit that this year. Actually, my goal coming into the year was to hit 70. That was my goal. And actually, a couple of months ago, I kind of just resigned myself to the fact that I wasn't going to hit it because, like, for the amount of time that was left in the year and how far I had left to go, I really didn't think I'd hit it. And then, well, I tend to not take into account how much more the algorithm pushes me when new Doctor Who stuff is coming out. And the frickin' James Somerton video hit to a degree that actually makes me uncomfortable a little bit. But it helped. It was a boost. And I mean, this live stream was going to happen anyway. This is my normal bi-weekly live stream, but now it's a celebration. Hey! So I hope everybody's doing well. As is shown in a pinned comment, the only way to guarantee that I will respond to your question and or comment is to do it as a super chat. I will try and keep up with the chat otherwise, but I make no guarantees if it's not done as a super chat. And the super chat also gets you a little heart from me. Thank you to Dimension Lord, a new member of the channel. Cheers to you. Somerton's loss is my game. Well, hopefully Somerton's loss is the gain for all the people he stole from. That's who really needs to be gaining off the back of this. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? A woodchuck would not chuck wood, even though a woodchuck is called a woodchuck, unless the union rep is on hand, because they unionized some time ago, and you will respect that. What did you think of that comment? Seeming like blind deaf babies floating in the sea. It's the only thing that made me understand how entities like you or the Toymaker might view us. I mean, yeah, that's solid. I had nothing to add to that. Adam Cox, thank you very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Do you think the Toymaker should have included any other companion or event in the Doctor story passed on apart from Amy, Clara, and Bill? Well, technically it was Amy, Clara, Bill, and the Flux. I think Amy, Clara, and Bill were the ones that made the most sense to include because they all ended, sadly, with a caveat. So, the Toymaker that's the pattern of these things. The Toymaker is shoving the loss and the pain and the failure in the Doctor's face. The Doctor has his little reassurances of, Amy died of old age. Clara gets to live as long as she wants in the last second of her life. Bill's consciousness survives, and the Toymaker just throws that back in his face. I don't know who else you'd add to that. Like, the Doctor had other companions besides those 3, but I don't think that it was like a deliberate choice like snub Chibnall's era. None of those companions would have fit this template and this pattern. I mean, there's also the general rule of 3s, except they kind of already broke that because they enter the flux, although that breaks it anyway because it's the only one that the Doctor doesn't have a yeah, but rebuttal for. But no, short answer is no. I don't know who else you would include in that lineup, off the top of my head at least. I mean, maybe Missy, except I don't think the Doctor actually knows what happened to Missy. If you actually take into account the point at which Missy dies and the point at which she left the Doctor, I don't think he really knows what happened to her. Pretty soon you'll reach 100,000 subscribers. Depends on your definition of pretty soon. I know Stu Bagful is trying to get me to bet him on whether or not I will break it next year. Let me put it this way. It's not impossible for me to break 500,000. 500. Geez, it is impossible for me to break 500,000 next year. It's not impossible for me to break 100,000 next year. However, it would require the single biggest growth year I've ever had. That current record is held by 2018, where I grew by 22,500 in 1 year. That was my single highest growth year for the channel. And I don't ever expect to pull those kinds of numbers again. And not only would I have to pull that, I have to beat that to hit 100,000 before the end of next year. It's not impossible, but I don't want to focus on that for a couple reasons. The first is I find it unlikely. The second is if I get obsessed with the idea of, I hit it by the end of the year, I don't like the idea that I would be tempted, like, so that I hit the goal to, like, start doing the kinds of stuff that, like, I don't do it because it makes me not like the job. Like, start algorithm chasing a lot more, start paying more attention to what's the trending stuff and put stuff out regardless of whether I have something to say. Like, I don't want any more temptation than this platform inherently gives me to do that. And so, yeah, that's probably why I won't take Stu up on that bet. Besides which, technically I could sabotage him by just doing crap all year and get it 50 quid from him. Although I'd lose more money in revenue that I gained from that. But it'd be a moral victory by losing. I'm sure that makes sense somewhere. I agree. However, I'd have liked a river mention. A river mention could have worked. The thing is, I think River's too complicated. Not to mention, she didn't have a sad ending. I mean, she had a bittersweet ending. Well, okay, it also depends on what you consider her ending. Because her ending, by her perspective, was Forest of the Dead, which could fit because there's the caveat, like, she's still alive in the computer, kinda, sorta, a little. So I guess she could have fit if you take that as her ending. Although, going by the Doctor's timeline, her ending is Beryllium with the 12th Doctor, which is beautiful and wonderful and bittersweet. So River's just complicated to add into anything. So if the Grinch hates Whoville so much, why doesn't he move? Yes, because it's so easy in today's housing market to just pick up and move to a new location when you have your mountain cave paid off already. No, it's not a seller's market. He's not going to get enough selling that cave to be able to afford to move anywhere else. Certainly anywhere else that'd be any better than Whoville. Like, just face the economic realities and don't assume people just have that kind of money on hand, Ms. Wicked Wolf. Come on now. It is a tight job market, and the housing market is all kinds of messed up in Whoville. Everybody knows this. Which special did you like the most? I'm not sure yet. I need to ruminate it on a bit. And also, part of the reason I don't want to answer that is because next month I'm going to put out a ranking of the specials, including the new ones. So I don't want to either give away my opinion in advance or seem like a liar because I changed my opinion between speaking and recording in, I don't know, several weeks. So when Mel appears in the next series, are we going to get a line or two about 14? Like, maybe, insofar as, like, Shurigato's doctor acting like, so how's he doing? Like, oh, he's doing fine. And, like, and I think that's all the acknowledgement he should ever get, to be honest. River's exit was during 10's time. Again, depends on how you are judging it, whether it's by her timeline or his. But yes, there is that potentially. Scott P. Do you think you gained more subs since the return of Doctor Who broadcast? I know I did. Like, there was a huge uptick from the James Somerton video. I will not pretend otherwise. But I was already doing pretty well by my standards. With the Doctor Who stuff and with the new stuff coming up and going live, yeah, I was getting some heat off that. Not as much. Again, like, just being realistic. Let's see. We got more super chats here. Supreme Omega! Good to see you. Is Arnold a better actor than we give him credit for? Because he's been in classics like Terminator, Total Recall, and proved to have comedic chops in Twins. I would file Arnold under what I tend to call the limited instrument actors. In that what they're good at is fairly limited. But if you put them in the right things, then it can bring out something amazing and they can give you something that maybe no other actor could have in that role. I would classify Arnold as a limited instrument. You put him in the right thing, because, like, honestly, even you say he has comedic chops in Twins, like, does he though? Does he really? Does he, like, I'm kind of asking sincerely, because I haven't seen Twins in a while, and I'm not asking that in a, like, is Twins really funny? But, like, he's the straight man, and the absurdity is, like, his size and his literalness. It's not a particularly nuanced comedic timing required by him. The comedic timing largely leans on everybody else reacting to him, if that makes sense. Do I decorate gingerbread houses? No, not generally. May I share an unpopular opinion? Go ahead. You do so at your own risk. I'm not responsible for what happens to you. Purple Raider, thank you very much for the super chat. Bi generation was a recent example of something you said was a bad idea on paper, but can you think of any examples of the opposite where there was an idea you liked in Doctor Who or other franchises? Yes, Series 11. Series 11 did a bunch of stuff that I said the show should do. It didn't have any recurring classic era or even from that modern era stretch of Doctor Who villains. It was all new stuff. It was largely self-contained episodes. There really wasn't an overarching plot in Series 11. Like, they hint at the Timeless Child thing, but that's not going to pay off until the next year. And it's brought up once. It's meaningless. At the time it was brought up, and well, actually, it was kind of meaningless even when we get answers on it. But Series 11 did a lot of stuff that I said the show should do. Strip it down to some simpler stories, have them be more self-contained, put the recurring monsters on the back burner for a while, have some companions other than the pretty contemporary Londoners. And I mean, we did still have Yaz, but we also had Ryan and Graham in that equation. Series 11 did a lot of stuff I said the show should do. And for the most part, I didn't like it. Again, I don't want to get over cruel about the Whittaker era or Chris Chibnall's era as a showrunner. There were There were episodes scattered throughout that I liked or even loved. But on the whole, watching Series 11 was, even aside from my general feelings about the quality and whether or not I was enjoying it, it hurt a little bit more because I was watching things I said the show should do and being left to question, did I just have bad ideas? Or were these just badly done? At this point, I lean towards the latter, and not just for the sake of my ego, but just because Chibnall didn't really nail the execution on much of it. Might be an uncomfortable question, but are you aware of a fellow Doctor Who fan faking a live stream to cover up their... What? No, I'm not. I'm... Like, part of me is slightly morbidly curious, but the rest of me is like, I don't want to get dragged into gossip and inter-channel drama, which I'm not accusing you of sparking that, but like anything that would circle around that kind of thing that you've just described, my gut instinct is to be like, I feel like I just don't want to know. I wonder how long the Big Finish box set for 14 and the family will take to come out. Well, they still haven't gotten the Fugitive Doctor box set out. It doesn't even have a release date yet. It probably won't be too long until they announce it. It might be a while before it comes out, though. Kindergarten Co-op is way funnier than it has any right to be. I'm going to have to take your word on that, John, because I saw that when I myself was a kid, and yes, I found it funny. I don't know how it holds up. Vote Sax. Okay, I know the name for the YouTuber Vote Saxon. I never followed him, and that's not like I got a bad vibe. Like, I don't follow most Doctor Who YouTubers because there's a lot of them out there, and I couldn't follow all of them even if I was inclined to. I just never saw his stuff. But I recognize the name. I don't know what's going on, though. Do I use perfume? Nah. I smell fine as it is. The TX? ThetX? The Texas? Thetsk 789? Thank you for the super chat. Have you seen RTD saying he's going into a more fantasy direction? Also, have you seen that new song at all? I hadn't seen or heard him say that. I also have not gotten around to all the supplementary stuff, like the behind the scenes of the podcast or the commentary tracks, some of which I might never get around to just because it's probably going to fall behind just in my life. And by the new song, I'm assuming you mean the Goblin song. I did. Not entirely sure what I think about that. It's one of those things that I'm like, you know what? I probably would have enjoyed this much more just encountering it in context than just having it dropped ahead of time as a teaser. I'm just kind of like going, what are we doing? But you know, I'm not judging. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh yeah, let's get another 25,000 people in this chat and get them all to subscribe, and we'll hit 100,000 in real time. Yaz was one of the love of the Doctor's life, though. I don't want to be contrarian to you, Roger, but like, was she though? Was she really? 'Cause that felt pretty one-sided. That, honestly, that affection Yaz had for the Doctor rang more than a little like Martha. I think that 13 treated Yaz better than 10 treated Martha. But that did not seem reciprocal to me. Not at the same level, at any rate. So I don't think I agree with that. sorry. And like, understand, like, I'm not a shipper. Like, in general, it's not even like, I'm not a Yaz and Dr. shipper. Like, I'm not a shipper. I'm just not. Of course, like, occasional rare instances. So I guess saying never is inaccurate, but like, it's not in my nature. And I tend to hate romantic subplots, so that's a big part of why it's not in my nature. Romance is almost never what I'm here for. And so I usually find it distracting, especially because it's usually done poorly. Have I seen the Christmas movie Lost Christmas starring Eddie Izzard? I don't think I'd heard of that one. What is that streaming on? What is Susie up to? Lost Christmas. Oh, it's from a while back. That's from 2011. I've never heard of that. Jason Fleming? Huh. Oh, I might need to look into that because I am now quite curious. Oh, it's on Tubi. Sweet. Let me catch the chat up. Here we go. Like your necklace? Thank you. I have another channel. Does you? I have, well, technically I have 3 other channels. One of them hasn't been updated in years, so don't bring that one up. I have 2 other channels. There is a secondary channel for this called Break Room of Geeks, which is less polished stuff, less thorough analysis. Usually just me rambling about whatever I've seen, played, or read lately. That's also where most commissioned reviews go for people who have commissioned me through the Patreon. And then there is a channel also dubbed Vera Wild, which is technically older than this channel is. And that channel is... How do I want to say this? So that channel's a couple of things. It is... Whereas on here, like, I'll frequently talk about LGBTQIA plus topics, but it's filtered through... Usually filtered through issues of representation and depictions in media, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas over there, I'm talking much more about just my own personal life experiences and giving my thoughts that comes out of living the life I've lived. So I talk about, gender that way. You go ways back before I started identifying as gender fluid. There's a lot of cross-dressing advice videos, most of which probably aren't great advice, or at least not anymore. And there is also some let's go with product reviews on that channel. Not to be viewed from work. Let's go with that and move on. The 7th Doctor had his last moments in the first 20 minutes of the TV movie, and 15 gets his first moments in the last 20 of the Giggle, first full circle. Bit more of a, because we had the straight line, and now we're circling back. Bit more of a, like a music note on its side. Anything with Susie Izzard is gold. I'm not sure that's true. She herself is pretty much good in everything I've seen her in. Not everything I've seen her in is good. One of those kinds of things. Like, they're not trying to be cruel. It's just like, I genuinely have no idea why I should care. Oh, those sort of higher dimensional beings. Yeah, I think that can work, especially for something that is not meant to be a person. That is not meant to have, a grounding in humanity. Not to say that human beings can't reach that level, because some of them can, but I find it less fun. Like, when you do it with something like Q or the Toy Maker, it's fun. You look at an actual human being being like that, it's not fun. Purple Raider, back again with the super chat. As a huge fan, Toku, I appreciate the Kamen Rider W a lot. Do you plan to watch more series? Because I have suggestions. Unfortunately, Purple Raider, I don't. I watched Kamen Rider W, the first 2 episodes. That's on the Break Room of Geeks channel for folks. And I enjoyed them a lot, but you need to realize I watched them because it was a commission, and I am so far behind on commissioned stuff. Like, I don't have a ton of time for just for fun viewing these days. So, like, no, I don't. Unless somebody commissions me to watch more series like that, it's not on my docket because I have too much other stuff to do. I know, I suppose I should set that as a realistic expectation of the commission reviews. I know it is the hope of some people, especially if they have me check out like the first 2 episodes of the show, that I'll fall in love with it so much that I'll watch the rest of the series, and it's just not realistic with the amount of free time I had. Closest that it's ever come to happening was I was commissioned to watch only the first 2 episodes of the Doom Patrol. And I did like that enough to stick with at least the first season. I have meant to get back to it since then because I liked the first season a lot. But guess what? I have not had time. So even stuff that I like just trying to find time is it's a thing. What are the chances of you reaching 1 million subscribers? 0.035. Martha is over the doctor, ditched Mickey, and is now part of an international telepathic polycule. Is that headcanon? Gozer, or is that something I don't know about? The product reviews are fun. I'm glad people enjoy them. They're fun to do the research for. I originally found your channel because thought you were another YouTuber. You kind of looked like pre-transition. I feel like pre-transition, I looked like a fair few number of YouTubers. You know, generic 30-something white guy. That was the look I was rocking for a little while there. Would you ever consider doing a top 10 best episodes of New Who video? Not anytime soon, Mr. Zaki boy, because I did my video not all that long ago ranking every episode. And granted, more episodes have now come out since then, but like just doing a top 10, you know, even if it was like top 10 best, top 10 worst, like it'd be better for the algorithm, probably, for me to do it that way. But I don't know. I liked the ambition of ranking all of them. I mean, I might, like in another year or so, maybe that'll be the cycle. I'll do a top 10 and a bottom 10. Except, like, part of the reason I did the rank everything is that it's a lot easier for me to give you a top 10 of any given specific doctor than top 10 of the entire thing. And I think part of the reason I did the ranking every episode of Modern Era Doctor Who was to give context for what was the top 10 and like still see where other doctors came in, what their highest rated episodes were compared to others. Like, I don't know. It would just, that as a project just interested me more. I don't know. The next Doctor Who ranking is going to be ranking the specials, which I was shocked to realize I'd never done before. I could have sworn like, oh, I'll do a re-ranking. I must have done that before. Then I go back and check and go, oh crap, no, I haven't. How did I not do that before? I don't know. An old German euphemism for adult toys translates as marriage hygiene products. Nicholas, I watched specifically Kamen Rider W. Again, there's a review over on the Break Room of Geeks. All right, I'm going to catch up on the Super Chats real quick, and then I have to hit up the Discord. So, Dharma, thank you very much for re-upping your subscription. Much appreciated. Badre Bali. Apologies if I mispronounced that. Thank you very much for the Super Chat. After watching The Giggle, I headcanon that the Toymaker Jigsaw comment involves erasing all previous defeats after the first from expanded media. He's that petty. Yeah, I could buy that. That I'm not sure I'm gonna take it on board myself, but it's solid as far as headcanon goes. Supreme Omega coming in again. On superhero film, do you think we should go back to the 2000s era standalone auteur-driven films like Nolan Batman trilogy, first two X-Men films, etc.? See, this is one of those things where, like, what I want is irrelevant because we can't. There is not nearly as much money in that. If you're asking me artistically, yeah. I mean, I'm not necessarily as, like, a hard break go back to that, but, like, start nudging back in that direction, I think would be healthy for the genre. It won't, though. It absolutely will not. Tony Johnson, Super Chat. Thank you very much. Love your stuff. Was surprised by the Kamen Rider review. Tempted me to join your Patreon as a direct influencer so I could join and recommend Kamen Rider Geeks. There were a fair number of comments on that video that basically amounted to, whoa, never thought you'd talk about this. Like, I didn't either. Somebody paid me. Purple Raider back in again. Love the new wheelchair accessible feature to the TARDIS, but disappointed Shirley didn't get to use it. This will be the last Super Chat before I go to bed. Congrats. Thank you very much, Purple Raider. I mean, I certainly hope somebody gets to use it at some point in the not too distant future. I mean, it's a thing worth having regardless. I actually said in a comment reply, because someone was like, oh, I assumed it was there for Wilf, or that it was there for Shirley. And I'm like, it's not there for someone. It's there for everyone. It's there as a permanent new addition for whoever needs it. Now, would it be nice if it actually gets put to use at some point? Well, yes, because that would mean that we actually have greater disability representation in the show, and that would be a good thing. But they shouldn't have somebody use it because it's vital to pay off the setup. Like, no, it should be used because using it would mean we get more disability representation. Okay, I need to pop over to the Discord real quick. Reminder that the Council of Geeks Discord is a Patreon exclusive perk. And that is the other place where you can go to drop questions, other than doing them as super chats here. So I got to get through these as quick as I can. Oh, dang. All right, here we go. Do you prefer cranberry or cherry wine? Where's the P.O. Box info posted? Send Wisconsin wine for live streams. I prefer cranberry. P.O. Box is actually at the bottom of the description of every single video. So you just open up the description and scroll down to the bottom. You'll find it right there. Cherry wine's nice too. I do prefer cranberry. I like cranberries in general. They're nice and tart. Congratulations on 75,000 subscribers. What kind of water are you celebrating with? Reiterating, Woodchuck, Berry Snap, mixed berry and ginger. That's good water. They didn't correct the Mavity thing in the Giggle. Do you think it will be a running joke in the next series or season, or will it be ignored? I don't know. I honestly think it's going to be ignored. Not necessarily because they are intending to ignore it, but because I don't think it's for anything. I don't think it has any particular meaning, and eventually the word gravity will be said again and they'll forget to do it. That's what I'm expecting. Have you ever tried a mince pie? Not in my memory. I know I have, because growing up for Thanksgiving, there was always a mince pie. And I tried it once and I hated it. But I was like 4. I haven't tried one again since, and I don't remember what it tastes like. So effectively no, technically yes. Do you read any webcomics? If so, what's your favorite? I have not read webcomics in a long time because it's just one of many things I don't have the time for anymore. I really liked Sluggy Freelance. I still like someday when I'm not constantly behind on all the stuff I'm trying to get done. I'd really like to just sit down and take like a weekend and catch up on that one. I'm years behind at this point. I liked Sluggy Freelance a lot. Should anthology comics like 2000 AD, Shonen Jump, and Heavy Metal Magazine have a greater influence on the American comic scene? I mean, that's a hard question to answer the way it's worded. Should they? Maybe. Is it surprising that they don't? No, not really. American comics are just very big into ongoing stories and continuity, and those other things just don't lend themselves to that. And I think those things have influenced a certain type of comics creator, but not too many on the American scene. And that's a little bit of a shame, but like, should it be the other way around? I don't know. American comics have their own flavor separate from European comics or British comics, and that's probably as it should be. I used to subscribe to heavy metal. It wasn't always good, but usually reliably there would be at least one story per issue. I'd be like, that one's real good. Sometimes it'd be one of the short ones that's like 2 pages. Sometimes it'd be the long featured one, but usually there'd be at least one where it's like good stuff. Who is the better voice actor for Scrooge McDuck, Alan Young or David Tennant? Oh. Pass. Ian Gibson, key UK comics artist, Judge Dredd, Robo Hunter, etc., and collaborated with Alan Moore, just died. Have you read any of his acclaimed Ballad of Halo Jones volumes? I have not, so I cannot give an opinion on that. Sorry to anyone who is a fan of his work. Why do the Golden Globes still exist? Why did they ever exist? Like, I think you got to go back further than that. Golden Globes are I literally forget the Golden Globes exist until like whatever this year's, boy, this is a stupid thing the Golden Globes is doing, story comes around, because it comes around every year and I go, oh right, those are a thing, and then I forget again. Do you do double turkey, Thanksgiving and Christmas, assuming you do it at either? No. Turkey at Thanksgiving, other stuff at Christmas. Do you feel Marvel's Do you feel Marvel Studios waited too long to bring forth the mutants and the Fantastic Four? Why or why not? Yeah, a little bit. I suspect whether it was intended or not, what's effectively going to happen is the X-Men and the Fantastic Four are going to be thrown out there as an attempt to try and bring more enthusiasm back to the franchise as it appears to currently be waning. I think the first problem with that is I think Marvel itself and every studio that's ever had the movie rights severely overestimate the actual enthusiasm people have for the Fantastic Four. It's nowhere near as high. Unless you do a really good story with it, it's not a group that has so much affection people will turn out regardless, which was honestly kind of the case with Spider-Man and X-Men. Like, people have stuck around even through some bad ones because they like the characters so much. Fantastic Four is not nearly as beloved, not on the same scale, but X-Men are potentially. But yeah, I think they should have really gotten to work on this stuff a heck of a lot sooner than they did. I think they probably should have jumped on Fantastic Four pretty quickly because X-Men had a lot more potential to work and hit well regardless of the overall state of the MCU, whereas Fantastic Four really should have been put out before the thing started hitting some speed bumps. If you're making full octane eggnog, I like the way you put that. What are your preferred spirits? Maple rum. Does the monomyth need to be left in the dustbin, or is there some life in the old thing? I mean, first of all, the monomyth is a lie. Like, Joseph Campbell's entire thing was ignoring all of the cultural traditions that didn't fit the thing he wanted to act like he discovered. So, like, it's not a thing in the first place. But if you're asking me about stories based on that template, it's that arc is a trope, like any other trope. If you're going to use it, try and do something interesting with it. If you're going to do it straight, at least try and execute every step of it really well. And if you're not going to do either of those things, do something else. Would you ever consider going to an international convention, either just to attend or as a content creator? Oh, I'd love to. I can't afford it. Not even close. I can barely afford the travel I do make. Yeah, I'd absolutely consider it. Somebody better pick up the bill though, because I can't. If you were allowed to give one setting for a historical Doctor Who story, what would it be? I'm not a great person to ask because I don't like the historicals. I don't know. For some reason, my brain, I don't know how good an idea this is, but my brain has decided to gravitate towards the idea of the American Gold Rush for some reason. Caves, dark places, lots of stuff could be down there. Sure, why not? Have I ever played any trading card games? I played Magic the Gathering starting back in middle school. Do people realize how long Magic the Gathering's been out? I have some cards that I've still got packed away from the alpha run. Yeah, I played that through I played a lot in middle school, a little bit in high school, and I fell off in college. So yeah, used to play Magic the Gathering. Have you seen the new Squid Game show? Do you agree with the people who think it undermines the message of the original show? No, I have not. No, I will not, because yes, it does. Yes, it does. The existence of Squid Game Challenge is gross. It's really gross. It literally recreated the thing and the situation that the entire original thing was criticizing. The only change they made was, oh, well, we won't kill the losers. The fact that they died wasn't the point. It upped the drama, but it wasn't the point. Like, everyone involved in the production side of that, who is, at a creative decision-making choice, producers, whoever else, they all missed the point so hard they should not be allowed to make television anymore. Force them into retirement. The existence of that thing pisses me off. I will never watch it. Even if someone tried to commission me to watch it, I might flatly tell them, commission me to watch something else. Do you think Russell T Davies decided to make all 3 14th Doctors special? Why do I think Russell T Davies decided to make only 3 14th Doctors specials instead of a whole series? Probably looking realistically at how long David Tennant and Catherine Tate were willing to commit to coming back. I suspect neither of them really wanted to do a full series of Doctor Who. They're not as young as they were when they last did it, and they've got other stuff going on now. So my suspicion is that was driven by the limitations of, okay, yeah, we want to come back and do this, but for how long? Stop while it's still fun. You said in the last stream you were irritated by some people suggesting that as an American, you were too stupid to understand the humor used in Curse of the Fatal Death. Do you think the perception that Americans are stupid is racist? Racist? No. American's not a race. American is a nationality. So it'd be what? Nationist? No. Americans aren't a race. So it can't be racist, definitionally. Is it a lazy stereotype? Yeah. I mean, like most national stereotypes are, even the quote-unquote positive ones, like, oh, the Chinese are good at math and Japanese are all obsessed with honor, and like all these things are harmful and not helpful, but like it's international shorthand that develops out of cultural, what cultural depictions actually cross international borders, and also laziness, because we absorb this stuff and we don't check it. All right, last stretch of these. Here we go. Then I'll be back in the main chat. Whew. So suppose they decide to do another Who spin-off set on Earth. I think you mentioned something about a possible unit show. Yeah, that is the most likely one to happen. If that happens, how should they handle the fact that every time there's a serious threat, people will be like, Why didn't they get the version of the Doctor who lives full-time on Earth now to handle it? Don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. You don't go and get that person for the same reason that every time a war breaks out, they don't batter down the door of retired veterans, no matter how good they are. They did their time. Let them rest. This is supposed to be somebody else's job. Don't bring it up. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. And I know some people, like, they can't help the fact that their brain gets hung up on the idea, but there is a doctor here and he's not helping. I'm like, this is where, like, just my instincts as a storyteller kick in, and I say, just let the story be what it is. This is the point that, and I did a video on this. This is one of those points where, like, continuity hurts storytelling, because the giggle as it ends is a really satisfying story, but the need for continuity and the fact that it's going to continue forward and we're going to have future threats on Earth, whether there's a spinoff or not, is going to cause some people to ask that question. Some people in bad faith because they just want to complain about everything, and some people because it's genuinely something that needles them and hurts their enjoyment. And while I am empathetic to that for those people, for the sake of storytelling, just leave it alone. Don't bring it up again. Let it lie. You said they can never really give the Doctor a final happy ending because franchises have to go on forever these days. That made me wonder if it's an inherent problem with trying to turn Who into an extended universe is you need this one guy/gal to always be at the center of everything. Like Star Trek can survive after Kirk and Spock died because the Star Trek universe grew beyond their stories. By its nature and name, the Whoniverse will always need the Doctor. Well, yes, but Doctor Who still doesn't have the same limitations because you're not tied to the specific actors. The characterization is allowed to change with each regeneration. Like, the nature of regeneration really does put the show in a whole other category when it comes to continuing long term. Like, in a way, you're right, yes, but also, like, that's not quite as detrimental as something like, well, we can't continue Trek without Kirk and Spock. Like, of course we can. Like, can we have Whoniverse without the Doctor? Like, I mean, you could. You don't need to, though. He gets refreshed anyways. I'll end on something more of a slice of life. My mother was babysitting my twin nieces today. She decided to get them to help her decorate the tree. When they were done, I got my phone and I said, stand next to the tree so I can take a picture. I was planning to send it to my brother. But when me and my parents started trying to get them to stay in a place, one got anxious and ran to the other room. The other started crying. As someone who's raised a toddler, I'm kind of curious what you do in that situation. Give up and send a text and send a picture of the tree with nobody in front of it and go, hey, we tried to get a picture with your kids, but they weren't up for taking a picture. Hope you like the tree anyway. The parents will understand, trust me. Anyways, I'm now back in the main live stream. Let's see, did we get more? We did get more super chats, so now I got to catch up on that. All right, here we go. Chance Harris. I'm thinking the Bi generation is there to fix the timeless child and make way for the master to be the one. I did the first Bi generation and the Doctor is the master. I'm not sure I totally understand this comment, but here's what I will say. It is not there to fix the timeless child. How? In what way does it even vaguely impact the timeless child? They're not connected in any way, shape, or form, so I don't follow you at all. Wait for the master to be the one. I did try by the first, and the Doctor is the master. I don't understand where you're going. I'm not following this sentence, but the bits I'm seeing, my immediate reaction is no, don't do that. Like, just speaking as a viewer and as a writer, what I think I'm getting out of this comment does not appeal to me as either an audience member or a writer. Sailor Enchantrix. Would you ever do a list of your favorite classic Who stories? Sure. Once I've seen all of classic. No, that's not true. I could do a list of my favorite at present, but it would have the massive asterisks on it that I still haven't seen a bunch of it. So I could, but Oh, hey, Meg. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. What if Bi generation sets up the Valyard? Why do we have to set up the Valyard? See, this is the kind of stuff my brain just rejects. There are so many comments on the Giggle review right now where people are like, "Oh, and this explains the curator. The curator didn't need an explanation. The valuer didn't need an explanation." Like, not everything needs to tie together. Just And again, I'm not trying to get mad at people who have an instinct to tie things together. I get that that's just a completely different way of consuming media and a different way that my brain works, but boy, does my brain not like that. Jennifer Wiley, new member. Thank you kindly. Much appreciated. And Supreme Omega. On Trek, do you feel the reliance on both the original series and the Next Generation nostalgia has hurt the franchise long term? Like, why not a new cast with a new captain in a new century? Well, they did that. It's called Lower Decks. And I think that in general, at a certain point, like Star Trek TNG was a big dice roll. And they did try and do new casts and new stuff after that. DS9, Voyager. Now, DS9 is a fan favorite. It was not nearly as successful. Voyager was a bit more mixed. Enterprise was even more mixed. And I understand why, from a franchise management perspective, why they keep going back to the original series and the Next Generation, because it's the stuff that people have expressed the most interest in and the most desire to go back to. You go where you think the money is. So, like, from a franchise management perspective, I get it. From a creative perspective, has it hurt the franchise? Yeah, a bit. Yeah. Not as much as it used to, because we have, actually started to break away a bit. Discovery, which I haven't watched, it kind of did its own thing. Lower Decks is very much doing its own thing. Strange New Worlds is kind of tied to the original series, but it has so far kind of felt like its own nostalgic throwback that isn't just like, let's do the original series again. So I feel like that franchise right now is in a better place than it's been in a while, to be completely honest. Fugitive Doctor needs an explanation. I'm going to partially disagree. I don't think the Fugitive Doctor needs an explanation. I think the Fugitive Doctor needs more appearances, because Joe Martin's real good. I said to my dad, "What's wrong?" And he was like, "There too." Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's see here. Out of classic Who aliens I would love to see return is the Monoptera. The Monoptera. I only want the Monoptera back if they don't update the costumes. If people don't know, this is from a Doctor Who, first Doctor Who story called The Web Planet, and it's these moth aliens, and they just look fuzzy, and they kind of talk like this, and they have these big wings, and I don't know for certain that this is what happened, but the way they move, well, honestly, the way they just stand there, it seems like they were given direction, try and make it look like you're floating, but of course they're not actually on wires or anything, because it's Doctor Who, and it was made for no money. And so they're standing there, and they just kind of do this. We are the Monoptera. We have to be careful and watch out for the zombie. If you're going to bring back the Monoptera, you're not allowed to change them. That's my rule. What classic Who aliens we have not seen since before 89 would you like to see return? Well, I've talked about Omega before as being an untapped resource on that front. Who else? See, the thing is, a lot of my favorite classic era stories either had creatures who either already were or later became recurring aliens, or they deal with one-off villains that were very specific, and it's not like you could bring the whole species back and have it be particularly meaningful. Like, I love City of Death, but it's not like you could bring back the whole species of, I can't even remember the guy's name now. Much as I love it, it's been a while. You couldn't like bring back a species of, you know, the big spaghetti ball head, cyclops head things. It wouldn't mean all that much. So I'm struggling to come up with an answer to that. I should come up with one, but I just sit here and you'd watch the buffering cycle in my eyes for a while. So we'll move on. What are your thoughts on gross out humor? It's gross. Don't do it. How do you feel on the bi generation now, since RTD said it was based off some old time lore he found where it said Time Lords can split when they regenerate? I have not even heard that he had said that. That does nothing to change my opinion. Commentary tracks and interviews are not canon. RTD did bring back the Makra, so why not more invertebrates? The Makra. My goodness. The Makra Terras, that's one that I haven't seen yet. Would you ever consider checking out the Eurovision Song Contest? I'd recommend baby steps with a winner's recap video to give you a taste. Not really. I'm not really into song contests as a, just as a format. Like my kiddo's mother, we watched a couple seasons of like American Idol together. We kind of had some fun with it, but then we both moved on from it, and like I didn't miss it. And like I know, I know like the format is the same, and it's not as much a reality show kind of thing. But just like song contests, like that's not for me. Fenric, maybe. Hell, I mean, here's what I don't know about bringing back Fenric. I think Fenric is badly overrated. Not necessarily because of what he is, but because of how he's used. Because they do the thing that I don't like, which is the whole, oh, I have been manipulating you from behind the scenes for years and you did not know. Like, oh, God's sake. I hate that. I never buy it, for one thing, and it's just so played out. But that's more of a problem of what he does than what he is. The Gods of Ragnarok would be... It would be interesting to know how somebody would. If that makes sense. I want Alpha Centauri back again. Because we saw Alpha Centauri in Empress of Mars. I mean, it was a cameo, to be fair. I don't understand kids. I do understand kids. I'm not comfortable around kids. But I do largely understand them. I'm not comfortable around kids, though. Don't ever try and introduce me to your kids. I will be very awkward and not interested. What about the Trickster? The Trickster! All right. This might be the last hot take of the stream. The Trickster is boring. Thank you. No further questions. Kind of wish that Rose Noble was the new companion. I kind of do too. I won't lie. Like, I know what the outcry would be, but I mean it's happening regardless. So, but boy, what a bold new era! If the Doctor and the companion were both were a pair of queer black people, that'd be real cool. Boring in a good way or a bad way? How do you do boring in a good way? I guess boring in a neutral way, insofar as his episodes on Sarah Jane Adventures are interesting insofar as the stories that are built out of what he's doing, but he as a character is not interesting at all. And like you could literally have anybody do those kinds of machinations. Doesn't have to be this guy. Kathy N. Thank you for the super chat. Love you, gorgeous, and congratulations. Thank you very much. We are going to wrap it up soon. RJ, ooh, my goodness. Thank you very much. Just want to drop in and say congrats. Thanks for the reviews, the streams, the beautiful positive representation. Trans flag and a heart, you friend. Thank you, RJ. I appreciate that a lot. Very much. What are my thoughts on Halloween is Grinch Night? Underrated, underappreciated, quite good. Look it up. I would have played if Kate had her filter turned off with Rose in the room. I'm glad they didn't, just because like they did the transphobia thing already in the Star Beast. That did not need a revisit. And in fact, I've already made my argument. They hit that nail a little harder than they needed to in the first place. So Halloween is Grinch Night. Oh, you don't know about this, Meg? The Grinch has a Halloween special. And it's called Halloween is Grinch Night. It's quite fun. I actually like it a fair bit. I wouldn't go out on a night like this for $1.50. Decent songs. It's fun. I like that. It's like it's nicely surreal at points too. And the Grinch is like, he's the bad guy in that. Like chronology wise, it has to be set before How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It doesn't make sense otherwise. But yeah, he's he is the bad guy in that. And I'm kind of here for it. I used to watch that growing up. I had that on tape. It's underappreciated. It's not as classic as How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And when I say How the Grinch Stole Christmas, I am talking about the Chuck Jones animated one. But, like, it's fun. And I like it. Did you see Boy and the Heron yet? It's not playing anywhere near me. I live in the middle of nowhere, so... No, I have not. It's probably an hour and a half drive to get to the closest place that would show it to me. And I'd also have to have the time. I've gone to the movie theater shockingly little this year. Like, so rarely did I go to the theater this year. Have you seen The Grinch is the Cat in the Hat? That one I have not seen. That one didn't appeal to me too much. I actually don't like the Cat in the Hat that much. All right. We got some more super chats. I said I was going to wrap it up, but here we go. Kaylin Schwartz. I remember ages ago, someone had commissioned you to do a review of Scream of the Shalko. Would you still consider doing a review, especially for a future Doctor Who anniversary? I don't think I actually got a commission for that. I think somebody said they were going to, but I don't think that ever came through. It's on my to-do list. It's been on my to-do list for a while, and that's going to happen regardless eventually. If someone wants to bump it up the priority list, that would be the way to do it. But that one's been on the to-do list for ages. But I need to rewatch it and decide what my angle's gonna be on it, talking about it, because it's such a weird moment in the history of a show that has a lot of weird moments. Aaron O, thank you so much. The kid frequently needing to use the euphemism. No, I'd forgotten about that. Oh. Grandpa Josiah, I have to go to the euphemism. The euphemism? Nobody goes to the euphemism on a night like this. Oh, I gotta rewatch that. That's good. That thing is good, and it's been forgotten to time. There's a fact I really wanted to tell you. The first TV image was technically a crucifix because the first prototype was so simple, he needed a simple shape. Ah, okay. But I guess Stooky Bill was the first thing broadcast on his slightly more advanced format then. So I guess that's a little bit of bending of the reality of it. I would say for storytelling purposes, a workable one. Panda Go Crazy. Thank you so very much. Hey, Vera, I've been a sub since, I don't know, 15,000 subs or so. You helped me gain confidence to be sure in the person, parentheses, doctor I want to be. Thanks for keeping entertained over the years. Thank you very much for sticking around. If you've been here since 15, that means that you've been around since after I came out, but well before this became my standard presentation on the channel. It's very depressing to know that Roald Dahl's dislike of Wilder as Wonka has probably nothing to do with the stuff Wilder added and more to do with more nefarious reasons. I don't have time to unpack that one, Rowan. Wait. Hold on. Hold up. Jen and May are conspiring. What is going on? They're conspiring to get me to watch something, a UK version of something. There's plotting going on right under my nose. Ah! All right. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. This was a lot of fun. I have fun with this anyway, but it was nice to have an occasion to celebrate. So, thank you, everybody, for joining me here. Take care of yourselves. Stuff upcoming tomorrow. I will be streaming on the Twitch channel, Council of Geeks on Twitch. I'm going to try out probably Trine 2. There's a new game out that actually I heard really good things about that I want to try, but I don't think I can spare the cash to get it right now. I'm on a tight week. But, so it'll probably be Trine 2, and then Friday is, I got to figure out how to title it so that I don't get in trouble, but it's on the concept of enshittification, the fact that stuff works worse and functions worse, and we pay more for it, and the trends of that, broadly speaking. So that's what's coming up on Friday. And yeah, that's, Thursday. Nope, nothing on Thursday, not this week. All right. Oh, also Saturday, in addition to getting back, hopefully, onto the normal new video premiere schedule for noon, at 1 o'clock, I will be in the latest episode of the Oops Brigade on Trans Tales on Twitch, which is a 5-session D&D campaign. I am playing a... We have a group made up entirely of massive liars. I am playing the one token person who cannot lie. I am playing a halfling ranger named Jethica Rinthwood. No, she does not have a lisp. There's actually THs in her name. So yeah, that'll be everything. Thanks for sticking with me through my rambles and what's coming up. I hope everyone is well, be safe, be kind. Remember, please, that you are beautiful, you are valid, and you are loved. You are the council, and I am just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. McCavity!